capped cannonball appearance when you're walking to the side. Or I mean, you're walking straight on, it's that little cap that kind of goes over the edge of your shirt. That is terrible. Hey family, it's Marv, one rep at a time. We're gonna do half discussion, half tutorial on a cable lateral raise. I am going to include though down in the description box below the link to our free weight or resistance band lateral raise tutorial video. So that's more of a traditional tutorial from us where I go over the coaching points, setup, cues, mental tips, tricks, all that good stuff, and then coach you through your first few warm-up or working sets together until you feel confident, competent to do it on your own. But today we're going to be talking about doing that with cables, both a 2-arm version and a 1-arm version. Now, lateral raise is the raise to your side. It hits your lateral deltoid, known as your side shoulder muscle. So it's the head of your shoulder. You have your front, side, and back. Not using the fancy terms for it. I give you that capped kind of cannonball appearance when somebody's looking at you straight on. So what is the main difference between using free weights as opposed to cables? Well, there is something called continuous tension on the muscle as opposed to the strength curve. So whenever I'm doing a lateral raise, just think about it, right? Or even without any weights in your hand, it's significantly harder to hold my hands up here than it is down here. So the strength curve is I'm weakest up here, and when I'm using a free weight, gravity is pulling directly down, so it's harder to hold the weights up here as opposed to down here, right? Which is why we also coach you don't let your hands come all the way down to your sides. So there is that, gravity's pulling down, so it's hardest up here, but down here there's not much gravity. Yeah, it's pulling down, but it's not directly down. It's not completely perpendicular to where the lever arm is, which is your arm, so it's not as difficult. So that's why, adding a resistance band to a free weight lateral raise doesn't make much sense, because the resistance band is going to be hardest up here, gravity is going to be heaviest up here, pulling straight down. It doesn't make much sense. But when we add cables, because we're going to be pulling, from across our body, the continuous tension, even in this bottom position, our muscles are still going to have to fire against the resistance of the opposite stack. So that's why I like cables for this. So what I'm talking about is maybe in a cable station with a handle, and essentially we never let these two balls come. So we good posture, nice and tall, come up, control it down, and we can stop short. And now there's continuous tension here, and there's still tension on my shoulder. So my right shoulder has tension because it's pulling from the left. So it's nice and even tension on the muscle. Despite the strength curve of the muscle, there's tension is pretty darn consistent. Now you're going to want to stand far enough back in whatever cable station you're using so the cable does not trap against your body. As soon as the cable traps against your body, it's taking some tension off of the working muscles. And then obviously if my right hand was above my left, like the right cable is in front of the left cable, just swap it out. So that's how we would do a 2-arm version. Now the 1-arm version, you can kind of play around with and even emphasize a stretch, which can't really do with a traditional free weight or even resistance band lateral raise. So the first thing you can play around with is the cable in front of your body versus behind your body. Now when I was younger, I thought that made a lot more difference than it probably does. It will change the angle of pull some. How much is open for debate. If you want to play around with it, sure. And then what you can do is emphasize the stretch. So because it's pulling down, I could stretch it out. So a stretch muscle is going to be able to contract harder. So here's the side of it in front of my body. Here's the side of it behind my body. You do the behind your body, you still let it come all the way back behind you. Because I'm stretching it out, but it's still under tension, in theory, you could contract the muscle harder. So I would play around with a 2-arm version, a 1-arm version. Emphasize load it up, get a good stretch. Just remember that we don't want to be shrugging up. We're trying to get this muscle to fire right here, not a trap. So what I mean is I want this to be down. I don't want you to shrug up. If you're shrugging up like that, that's good. That's not. See how my hand was raising up, my fingers raising up? It means you're going too heavy or you're just getting fatigued. So always a lighter weight than you would probably think. We want good control. If we want to overload the shoulders, we can do other things to overload the shoulders with a heavier weight. That makes more sense than a really, really, small muscle we're trying to isolate. So that is the cable lateral raise, how to do the 2-arm version, the 1-arm version. The difference is play around with it. You could do, 2-arm version for a while and then go to a 1-arm version, emphasize the stretch. So pause, get a good stretch, 2-3 seconds in the stretch position, take elastic energy out of the equation, up, right? Now, no also no bouncing around, we want it super strict. I don't really think there's much to be said for, you know, the where you're swinging your whole body. I mean, yeah, you see bodybuilders do that, but they're so good at contracting muscles that they're on a whole nother level. They can get a contraction doing that when the average person won't. All they're gonna do is rely on momentum, probably a lot of traps. So that's how I want you to do it, 1 rep at a time.